She wanted his ring. The wife wanted her peace. Only one of them got what she prayed for. Many years ago, before Instagram filters started confusing destinies, and before love became a business transaction, Chief Danlami was just Emeka Danlami, a fine young man with a clean face, sharp smile, and just enough sweet tongue to make even a sensible woman lose balance. Back then, he was a struggling contractor in Ibadan, chasing government projects that always almost clicked. He was the kind of man who said, "I'll send the proposal tomorrow," every day. That was when he met Maria Medet, a calm, homely lady from Akwa Ibom, who liked him because he was focused and could quote Bible verses in the middle of love letters. The first time he told her, "You are the apple of my eye," she smiled shyly and replied, "Then don't let worms eat your apple." They got married in her village in a modest ceremony where the jollof rice finished before the groom's cousins even arrived. But nobody cared. Love was enough. Life was sweet. They lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of Ibadan. Every evening, Emeka would return home, sit on the veranda, remove his shoes and shout, "Mariam, where is my angelic soup?" And she would laugh from the kitchen, replying, "My husband, your soup is flying to you." The neighbors admired their laughter. Mariam prayed daily for success, believing that hard work and patience would soon pay off. And one day, it did. A single government contract changed everything. Overnight, Emeka became Chief Danlami. New money, new friends, new laughter, new perfume. But soon, Mariam noticed that her husband had started coming home late, talking fast and laughing too loudly on the phone. When she asked what was funny, he'd smile and say, "Contractor things, my dear. You won't understand." She didn't argue. She was raised to believe that marriage required patience and that men were like generators. You just had to pull the rope until they started working again. What Mariam didn't know was that across town, another story was beginning, one that would test everything she believed about love, loyalty, and peace. Around this same time, in the bustling heart of Ibadan, lived Simi Adewale, a woman who could walk into any room and make everyone pause. She was light-skinned, loud in confidence, and always smelling like new money. Simi didn't believe in slow hustle. Her philosophy was simple. If talent can't make you rich, association will. One Friday evening, she sat with her friends at a beer parlor in Ring Road, swinging her wig like royalty and saying, "Me, I can't date broke men, I beg. I'm not allergic to love, but my destiny is expensive." Her friends laughed, but Simi meant every word. That same weekend, the Contractors Association of Nigeria held an event at a hotel in Ibadan. Chief Danlami attended, dressed in a crisp white agbada and sunglasses that screamed, "I've arrived." But even with all the noise and laughter around him, he sat alone, pretending to read a newspaper that was clearly upside down because the headline annoyed him. Then Simi walked in, wearing a short red dress that looked like Temptation tailored it personally. She spotted him immediately. Smiling, she approached his table. "Good evening, Chief." He looked up, flattered. "Oh, you know me?" She laughed softly. Who doesn't know Chief Danlami, the man shaking Ibadan with contracts? He grinned, chest swelling. That was the beginning of the end. At first, it was innocent, just conversations about business and networking. But soon, Chief started telling Simi things he never told anyone. "Shimi, I'm just a lonely businessman. My wife doesn't understand how stressful success can be." Simi, who had a PhD in pretending to care, leaned forward and sighed. Chief, men like you deserve peace. Women these days don't know how to treat a king." That was how she entered his life, with fried rice that had too much curry, goat meat tough enough to fight inflation, and handwritten notes that said, "Don't stress too much, my darling Chief." At first, Chief told himself it was harmless. Just friendship, he said. After all, everyone needs company. But soon, those friendly visits turned into weekend getaways in Akwa Ibom, where he claimed he had urgent contract meetings. Mariam believed every word. She even helped him pack his bags, ironing his shirts and praying, "May God bless your hustle, my husband." Oh, if only she knew what kind of hustle he was really doing. But Simi wasn't content being a shadow. She wanted the spotlight, the full title of Madame Danlami. So she began her quiet research. She found Mariam on Facebook, followed her business page on Instagram, and even ordered soap from her online store to just study her lifestyle. One evening, she told her friend with a smirk, "See how she dresses like a church usher, yet she owns the man. Don't worry, I will upgrade her version." And truly, she did. Whenever Chief mentioned his wife's cooking, Shimi would say, "Tell me how she makes it, I'll make it better." If he said, "My wife makes the best egusi," she would reply, "Then your wife will learn from me." It was competition disguised as affection. And Chief, blinded by ego, didn't notice that he was the prize being fought over. It began with a single photo. One morning, Simi asked Chief casually, "Baby, let me sew a surprise outfit for your wife, something she will love." Chief, flattered by her kindness, brought one of Mariam's blouses from home. But instead of sewing anything new, Simi wore that same blouse for a photo shoot the next day. She posted it online with the caption, "A woman who can wear power doesn't beg for space." The irony was sharp enough to cut glass, because the real owner of the power had no idea someone else was wearing her piece. Meanwhile, at home, Mariam was still praying for her husband. She noticed his new perfume scent, but told herself, maybe it's just the new car deodorant. She even smiled one day and said, "Chief, that new fragrance smells nice. Should I buy the same one for my car?" Chief nearly choked on his yam. By now, Simi had made her move from secret woman to public presence. She began appearing at charity events, where Mariam was a regular donor, always dressed one level higher. If Mariam was simple Ankara, Simi was sequined lace. If Mariam donated 100,000 naira, Simi donated 500,000 naira, and she made sure every donation was announced loudly. At one event, the MC boomed into the mic, "Please clap for Mrs. Simi Danlami for her generous contribution." The crowd clapped. Even Mariam smiled and joined in, clapping for the very woman trying to steal her husband. Later, Chief nearly fainted when he saw the photos online. There they were, both women in matching lace, sitting just rows apart. He called Simi immediately. "Are you mad? You want to kill me?" She laughed, her voice dripping with confidence. "Chief, calm down. I'm just showing the world the kind of woman you deserve." Chief sighed heavily. "Simi, one day you will be the end of me." She smiled sweetly. "Then, at least, Chief, you will end in luxury." By the time Chief clocked 50, his life had turned into a Nollywood trilogy. One episode was for his wife, one for his mistress, and one for his excuses. Every morning, he left home with his Bible in his car and his conscience somewhere in the dustbin. At home, Mariam remained the gentle wife, cooking, praying, believing her husband was just going through a phase. But Simi had stopped hiding. She was no longer content being the Abuja weekend angel. She wanted the crown. She wanted the name. She wanted the title. She wanted everything. And she wasn't afraid to go to war for it. Every great war starts small. For Chief Danlami and Mariam, it began with toothpaste. One quiet morning, Chief was getting ready for work. Mariam had just finished praying and was folding his clothes neatly on the bed. Chief squeezed the toothpaste from the middle, as usual. Mariam sighed and pressed it back up from the bottom. "Chief, I've told you, you're wasted like that." Without looking up, he replied, "It's my toothpaste now. Am I not the one who bought it?" That single sentence cut deeper than he knew. Mariam froze, her hand still holding his tie. She smiled weakly. "So, that's where we are at now." Chief did answer. He just reached for his perfume, the one Simi bought, and sprayed it twice. The scent filled the room like expensive guilt. From that day, silence settled in their home. Not loud silence, but the heavy kind that sits on the air like smoke. Mariam stopped asking where he went. She stopped calling when he traveled. She simply whispered to herself, "If I keep quiet long enough, God will speak." But God was taking his time. Meanwhile, Simi was making sure her presence couldn't be ignored. She started sending food to Chief's office, hot jollof rice, pepper soup, even fried plantain arranged like it came from a luxury restaurant. Each plate had a sticky note with her handwriting. "For my hard-working chief, don't forget your vitamins." His secretary started calling her Madam Simi by mistake. He didn't correct her. One afternoon, Mariam decided to surprise her husband at work with lunch. She carried a cooler of egusi soup and pounded yam, his favorite. But when she arrived, the receptionist smiled and said, "Ah, madam, but your food has already come now." Mariam blinked. "My food?" The woman pointed at the table. There sat a freshly delivered platter, Simi's signature note still attached. Her hand trembled. She smiled politely, turned around, and walked out before the tears could fall. That night, when Chief came home, she didn't mention it. She simply asked, "Chief, do you still love me?" He hesitated for too long, and that silence was louder than any lie. By the next month, Chief had moved into a new duplex in Akwa Ibom, saying it was for business convenience. Mariam stayed in Ibadan, managing their old home like a widow whose husband was still alive. Fumi, her younger cousin, visited and said, "Auntie, stop acting like you don't see what is going on. That man has moved on." But Mariam shook her head, eyes heavy but voice calm. "No, he's just lost. When men get lost, you don't chase them, you pray them home." Only that this time, Chief wasn't lost. He was building a new home with Simi in it. And in that new home, trouble was also packing her bags.
Simi finally got what she wanted. The duplex in Akwa Ibom wasn't just a house. It was her stage. Gold curtains, marble floors, a kitchen big enough to echo. Chief called it his business base, but Simi called it home. And soon, she began to behave like the queen of it. She cooked when she felt like it, decorated every corner with bold colors, and even hung a framed photo of herself and Chief at the entrance. In the picture, she wore red again, the same shade that started everything. Chief never complained. He was tired of arguments. Simi gave him peace, or so he thought. One evening, she sat beside him on the couch, scrolling through her phone. "Chief," she said softly, "why don't you just make it official? People are talking. I can't keep introducing myself as your friend." He sighed. "Simi, you know I can't do that. I'm still married. You want the press to drag me?" She smiled sweetly. "Then tell her to stop acting like she's still your wife." That was how the real war began. Silent, but brutal. Mariam started receiving strange calls at night. Each time she picked up, there was quiet laughter on the other end. Sometimes, a woman's voice whispered, "Madam, how's Ibadan treating you?" She'd hang up, heart pounding. One day, she told Chief, "Someone keeps calling and not talking." "Network people," he muttered, not looking up from his phone. But deep down, he knew exactly who it was. Simi was now moving with confidence. She followed him to business meetings, called him my husband in public, and even scolded him openly. At one gathering, an older man joked, "Chief, your wife looks different, oh." And before Chief could speak, Simi replied, "Yes, I added weight. Success will do that to a woman." Everyone laughed. Chief forced a smile, but something inside him shifted. He realized that the same boldness that attracted him was now slowly suffocating him. Meanwhile, Mariam stayed in Ibadan, still running her small skincare business and praying every morning at 5 a.m. Her faith was steady, but her smile had changed softer now, weaker. One afternoon, she opened Facebook and saw a tagged photo. It was Chief and Simi at an event. Simi wore a ring on her left hand. The caption read, "Mr. and Mrs. Danlami at the Oil and Gas Summit." Her heart went cold. That night, she cried quietly into her pillow. Not because of betrayal, she had sensed it long ago, but because she realized something terrifying. The man she loved no longer existed. At the same time, Simi was throwing her own small party in Akwa Ibom. She stood before a group of women, laughing and sipping wine. "Finally, the crown fits," she said. But as she spoke, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. It read, "You may wear her ring, but you will never wear her peace." Her laughter froze.
At first, it was little things. Simi's phone began to freeze unexpectedly. Her new car refused to start every Monday morning. Then, her favorite perfume bottle, Chief's first gift, fell from the dresser one evening and shattered on its own. She laughed it off. "Village people can't reach me in a quiet bomb," she joked. But deep down, unease began to grow. One night, she woke to the sound of someone calling her name. It was faint but clear, coming from the hallway. "Simi." She sat up, heart racing. Chief was asleep beside her, snoring softly. She tiptoed to the corridor. Nothing, just the flicker of the chandelier. The next morning, she brushed it aside. "Maybe I'm just tired," she told herself. But the same thing happened again the next night. And the one after. Meanwhile, Chief had started losing contracts one after another. Clients who once begged for meetings stopped answering calls. A major deal in Port Harcourt collapsed overnight. He sat in his study one evening, head in his hands. What kind of bad luck is this? Simi tried to comfort him. "Baby, maybe it's just market fluctuation. It will pick up." But he noticed something. Since moving in with her, Peace had quietly packed its bags and left. His workers had started quitting. His driver said he kept seeing a shadow following the car whenever Chief and Simi went out at night. Even the new cook refused to stay longer than a week. Back in Ibadan, Mariam was glowing differently. She didn't have money or luxury, but she had something Simi couldn't fake: peace. Her small business grew unexpectedly. Orders poured in. Clients she didn't remember messaging sent payments in full. Her laughter began to return, slow but steady. One morning while watering her plants, she hummed softly. The sunlight hit her face just right. For the first time in years, she whispered, "God, thank you. Even if he never comes back, I'm fine." At that exact moment in her quiet bomb, Simi's mirror cracked from the top corner to the center with a sharp sound. She screamed. Chief ran in. "What happened?" "Simi, the mirror. It just broke by itself," he found, shaking his head. "Simi, need to go to church," she snapped. "Why? Because I'm unlucky now?" He didn't answer. He just walked out quietly. That night, Simi couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned until dawn. And when she finally drifted off, she dreamt she was standing in front of a burning house, wearing Mariam's old blouse, the same one from years ago. Inside the fire, a voice whispered again, "You may wear her crown, but peace doesn't share." She woke up shaking, drenched in sweat. By morning, she had packed a small bag and told Chief, "I'm going to see one prophetess. I need prayers." Chief just nodded tiredly. "Maybe that's best." As she drove off, rain began to fall, sudden, heavy, loud. And in the mirror of her car, she swore she saw another woman's reflection, smiling faintly behind her. Chief Dalami had aged. The fine man who once filled rooms with laughter now sat alone most nights, sipping dry gin and staring at his silent phone. The new house that once echoed with Simi's loud music had grown too quiet. Simi was gone, off chasing prophets and deliverance sessions. And truthfully, Chief didn't mind the silence. For the first time in years, he could think. His contracts had dried up. Friends stopped calling. The only constant thing left in his life was regret. One night, while flipping through old files, he found a photo of Mariam, smiling, wearing her faded Ankara, standing by their old veranda in Ibadan. Her eyes looked warm, steady, alive. He stared at that picture for a long time, then whispered, "Mariam, I messed up." In Ibadan, life had quietly reshaped itself around peace. Mariam's skincare brand had grown beyond her imagination. She now supplied to 3 states. Her small shop had expanded into a bright store with a soft floral scent and a staff of 2 girls who adored her. She was content, not fully healed, but stronger. Fumi teased her one afternoon. "Auntie, your glow is dangerous, oh. You sure you're not using juju?" Mariam laughed, the sound light and genuine. "No juju, my dear, just peace and sheer butter." But that evening, as she was locking up her shop, a familiar black SUV pulled up outside. Her heart stopped. The door opened and Chief stepped out, looking smaller than she remembered. His agbada hung loosely, his eyes tired but searching. "Mariam," he said softly. "Chief," she whispered, unsure whether to smile or frown. He swallowed. "I came to say sorry. For everything." The silence that followed was thick. The wind carried the faint smell of rain. She didn't rush to speak. Instead, she opened the shop door again and said quietly, "You can sit. There's no chair of honor here anymore, but there's still space." They talked for hours about the early days, the laughter, the mistakes. Chief confessed everything. How Simi had slowly become a burden, how business had crashed, how he couldn't sleep without hearing echoes of his past. Mariam listened, eyes calm, voice steady. "You made your choice, Chief. I don't hate you. I just learned to love myself." He nodded, tears gathering. "I don't deserve your kindness." She smiled faintly. "It's not for you. It's for me." As he drove back that night, rain began to fall again, soft this time, not angry. And for the first time in years, Chief didn't feel heavy. He knew he could never undo the past, but at least now, the silence between them wasn't poisoned. It was peaceful. And miles away in Akwa Ibom, Simi sat before a prophet who kept shaking his head, muttering, "You wore another woman's destiny like a dress that didn't fit. Until you return what you took, peace will never stay." Simi froze. Return what? But deep down, she already knew. The prophet's words haunted Simi like an echo she couldn't silence. You wore another woman's destiny like a dress that didn't fit. Every night, she dreamt of Mariam standing in the doorway of a burning house, holding a bowl of water. Each time Simi reached out, the fire grew higher. She stopped eating. Her skin dulled, her laughter dried up. The mansion that once felt like a palace now felt like a cage. When Chief stopped taking her calls completely, she drove to Ibadan unannounced, arriving at his old house at dusk. She stood by the gate, eyes swollen, heart thudding. Inside, she could hear faint laughter, Chief and Mariam's voices, calm and familiar. For a moment, she almost turned away, but she knocked. The gate opened. Mariam stood there in a simple wrapper, face soft but unreadable. "Simi," she said quietly, "you look tired." Simi's voice trembled. "I came to return what I took." Mariam nodded slowly. She didn't ask how or why. She simply stepped aside and said, "Come inside. The rain is falling." They sat in the living room, the same one that had once held so much pain. Simi looked around, nothing flashy, yet it felt peaceful. She whispered, "I thought if I had him, I'd have everything." Mariam replied gently, "You can take a man's body, Simi, but if his peace lives elsewhere, you'll always be renting him." Simi broke down then, crying quietly, the way people cry when they finally understand what pride has cost them. Mariam didn't gloat. She simply poured her water into a small cup and handed it to her. "Drink, rest. You don't owe me anything except peace." Months passed. Chief never remarried Simi. Their affair ended quietly. No drama, no scandal, just silence. Simi moved back to Lagos, opened a small boutique, and rarely spoke of those days. Sometimes she caught her reflection and whispered, "Peace doesn't wear red." Chief and Mariam never returned to how things were, but they found something deeper, mutual forgiveness. They shared meals again, prayed together, even laughed sometimes. It wasn't perfect love. It was quiet companionship, the kind that comes after storms. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Mariam stood on her veranda, watering her flowers. Chief sat nearby, humming softly. She turned and smiled. "You see, Chief, we survived." He chuckled, eyes warm. "No, Mariam, you survived. I'm just grateful you allowed me to find peace near you." The breeze moved gently, carrying the smell of rain and hibiscus, and somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled softly, as if the sky itself was exhaling after a long, restless night. In the end, nobody won the war of love. Only peace did.